This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hi, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. And as always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along again. I'm going to cut right to the chase this week and get straight to the review of the SmackDown that aired on January 25th from Austin, Texas. And this would be the go-home show for Saturday night's main event as well. We start with what is now obligatory Here's Who Arrived Earlier. We see Tama, Tanga and Jacob Fatu arrive, and then LA Knight, who is fighting Tama Tonga this evening. We see Tiffy arrive, and Joe hypes Saturday night's main event and the Royal Rumble, which is only a week away. Can you believe it, guys? A week away, and we officially start WrestleMania season. So Joe is in the ring, and we are starting the show properly tonight with an interview in the ring with Cody, who, as always, gets a huge pop, and en route to the ring, literally kisses babies and shakes hands, like he really is a politician. Joe says that he knows Cody always appreciates his family history, and so do the crowd here tonight, as it was his dad's hometown. He asks how it makes Cody feel, knowing he will have to hand over his title ahead of the Royal Rumble. Cody says Shawn Michaels is the right person to moderate the signing, and he has absolutely no problem handing over the belt to him. Cody says it's almost WrestleMania season, and he knows the way to main event WrestleMania is to hang on to his title, and that's what he intends to do. Joe asks what Cody thinks about KO, and Cody asks Austin what they think, and they boo, surprisingly. He says that KO is a genius in the ring and a hell of an athlete, maybe once in a generation. But he says that KO 9 times out of 10 will take the easy way out, which is why the ladder match is such a great thing, as it's all about who can get the title down, and it's that simple. Joe asks Cody if he has a message for KO, and Cody says maybe he smiles and shakes hands and looks to be a good guy. But once the button is switched, he should be reminded that Cody has beaten Gunther, Roman, and is the student of Randy Orton and the quarterback of the WWE. He says he only has one message to KO, and that's good luck. I thought this was a different and a really good start to the show. Pleased that we didn't get an interruption from KO, as it was good to hear Cody speak. Rather than the two guys just having another pull-apart brawl. I'm still wondering, like everyone else, I guess, what the addendum to the contract is, but I guess we find out that tomorrow night. We now go straight backstage, where we have DIY, and then they are approached by Pretty Deadly, and they ask him what the game plan is for tonight. Johnny says that he has a match against Apollo Crews, and that means that DIY can't be there to help them. Ciampa says they can't be out there to support, and they should do whatever they have to do to get their business handled. Pretty Deadly then turn around and run into Legado del Fantasma, and the two groups just have a kind of stare-off standoff, but nothing at that point is said. We now go for our first in-ring action of the night, and we get the Motor City Machine Guns versus Pretty Deadly. Motor City Machine Guns got a decent response, so that seems to be building momentum for them week on week. Unfortunately, I thought here Pretty Deadly didn't get a great reception at all. We do get a playback from last week showing Pretty Deadly basically messing up what they were trying to do and handing the win over to the wrong people. So starting off in the ring, we have Sabin and Prince to kick off, and it's a fast start, resulting in the Motor City Machine Guns getting an early tag and pulling off their always excellent double team moves, ultimately taking out both members of Pretty Deadly. And we have Kit now in with Saban as Pretty Deadly fight back, double teaming Saban on the outside, sending him into the post and over the barricade, giving them the upper hand. Back in the ring, and Prince seems to have Saban in trouble, punching him in the head and getting a tag to Kit, and we get Pretty Deadly with some double team moves of their own. A beautiful hip toss by Kip, and he follows that up with a cover for a 2 count. Saban tries to fight back, but he's pretty much poleaxed by Kit, and he then makes a tag to Prince, and he has Saban in a submission hold, which Saban manages to break, desperate for a tag, but is denied. We get more punches to the head from Kit, and another tag as Pretty Deadly just continues to smash Saban. Finally, Saban rallies, and we get the Motor City Machine Guns fight back we probably expected. And finally, after a step up in Seguri, we get the tag. Shelley is in and clearing house as he takes out both members of Pretty Deadly and manages to get a 2 count. A tag is made, and we get a double suicide dive as Saban takes out both members of Pretty Deadly. The Motor City Machine Guns go to set up Skull and Crossbones, but Elton fights out and hits the Bad Apple Gunbuster, setting up for an elevated Bulldog, and we get a 2 cover. And then finally, Motor City Machine Guns set up for the Skull and Crossbones again, this time hitting it and getting a good win. But this was a really awesome match, and as I said on comms numerous times throughout, a really aggressive version of Pretty Deadly tonight. Very little messing around, which is actually great to see. Also, no outside shenanigans from any other tag teams that Pretty Deadly have managed to tick off in recent weeks. I think I'd like to see more of this side of Pretty Deadly. As I said, the wrestling was brilliant, and seeing them more focused was really refreshing. Motor City Machine Guns continue to look strong as they take the win here. Will they get the title back? Who knows? But they definitely deserve it, if that counts for anything. Backstage now, and we have Nick Aldis, or Oblivion the Gladiator as we know him, and he's staring at some framed pictures on the wall, and I guess these are some kind of like sports people from whatever events held in that arena, I don't know. And then Miz comes in suited and booted, and Miz says he's here to launch Miz TV. Nick Aldis says that he isn't just here for a visit, he's been moved to SmackDown in the transfer window. Miz kicks off at this and says, how's this happened? He had the Wyatt Six moved here, so how the hell has he been moved here? Which reminded me that we lost Bayley in the transfer window, which I'm completely bummed about because I really like Bayley. Anyway, we then get a slightly weird Crystal Maze style. That's probably quite a niche reference for those of you that are only listening in the UK, and probably those of you listening in the UK of a certain age as well. So we get a weird Crystal Maze style vignette for Strowman versus Fatu at the Saturday night main event. For that match, by the way, I haven't done any predictions for this Saturday night main event, but for this match, I definitely think that Fatu will win. He looks pretty much untouchable right now. We then, out of nowhere it seems, get KO appear, and he comes to the commentary desk and asks Joe where his interview was. He says he can't believe it, but Joe is making KO miss Michael Cole. KO says he doesn't know why everyone wants to be Cody's friend, because he always stabs his friends in the back. And then he basically starts gobbing off to Matthew McConaughey, who's in the front row. And then we get Jimmy Uso's music hit him as he comes to the ring. KO is already there and asks Jimmy what he wants. Jimmy says that he's here because KO talks too much, and at that, Jimmy drops the mic and goes for KO, sending him scuttling off. And Jimmy's on the mic and keeps it short and sweet and just says, how about KO and Jimmy Uso tonight? We then go backstage, and we have Secret Service Piper and Chelsea making their way to the ring. Before their match, though, we go back to Nick Aldis, who again is having another really busy night, and he's confronted by Mello, who says that he was meant to have Jimmy tonight, but now he can't because Jimmy wants to have KO. Nick says that he has an idea, and he's just made a new acquisition, and that's who Mello can face tonight. Mello basically says he's not falling for that trick again. He wants to look the person in the eyes. And Nick says, fine, he'll be here in a minute. Just hang on in my office, and you can see who it is. So we get back to the ring, and Chelsea and Piper make their entrance. Chelsea in her now traditional Stars and Stripe outfit. And they're going to face Meechin and B-Fab. Joe tells us that Meechin's last 3 matches have been with either Piper or Chelsea, so she should definitely have the inside track on them. I have to say, those two actually look pretty good together, and this could be decent. We start with Meechin and Piper Niven, and Meechin is straight away outpowered by Piper. Meechin does manage to take care of Chelsea, who was on the outside, chops him off. And Chelsea manages to dodge the long back attack and takes over, trying for a very early cover. Piper is now in, and Meechin manages to get in a kick to the face and also gets a tag to B-Fab, who comes in very quick and very impressive. B-Fab drops Chelsea on her head and going for a cover, which is only broken by Piper. Chelsea goes for the Unpretty Her, but reverses into Eat the Feet and gets the win for the team. That's Meechin. Com says a huge win, and they aren't wrong. The match was very short and sweet, but if B-Fab and Meechin are to be a proper tag team going forward, well then the signs look good in my opinion. They had some good moves and some good chemistry between them. Slightly surprising that they got the win, and that the cover was from Meechin on Chelsea. But maybe that sets up for a nice title rematch. We're now going back to Mello, who is waiting in Nick's office for his mystery opponent, who is the new mystery SmackDown signing. And oh my god, it's Damien Priest. That's freaking awesome. Mello looks like he's seen a ghost, and the match is made for tonight. So we get Mello versus Priest. What a move, getting Priest on SmackDown. Very exciting. We then get another awesome teaser for the return of Charlotte Flair. Sounds like she's coming back as a heel, and in her promo video she declared herself for the Royal Rumble, which is super exciting. So this is great. And we move straight into Tiffy time. She comes to the ring and says that once again she is the centre of everyone's attention, as next week 30 women will be fighting for the chance to face her at WrestleMania. Last week she beat Bayley, who was the winner of last year's Royal Rumble. She says she doesn't care who wins, as this year everything will run on Tiffy time. Before she can get any further, we get Rhea's music hit, and I'll be honest, I nearly wet myself here, thinking that Rhea had swapped brands, but of course she hasn't. She's there as the champ from Raw. Anyway, still good to see her on our show. Rhea grabs a mic, and the crowd are going crazy, chanting for Mummy. Tiffy actually looks pretty pleased to be in the ring with her. Rhea says that she wants Tiffy to remember that she's a champion too, and she respects her and what she did to Nia, but it won't compare to what she is going to do to Nia at the Saturday night main event. And obviously cue Nia's music. She says, look at Rehab Rhea. Why is she catching strays from these two? Nia is getting Dom level boobs here, but says that she's here to declare for entering the Royal Rumble and also winning the Royal Rumble. So I guess that we know for sure that Nia isn't winning tomorrow night, as if that was ever in any doubt. That would be my second unofficial pick, would be Rhea to win over Nia. Nia does address that straight away and says that she's going to win Rhea's title, then she's going to enter and win the Rumble and take Tiffy's title too. I mean, if that happened, I would be completely gutted. There can only ever be two belts, and that's Becky 2 belts. We cannot have Nia 2 belts. I won't have it. I will write a strongly worded email to Triple H if that happens. We now get Bianca and Naomi coming down to the ring. Naomi says isn't the ring filling up quickly, and she declares for the Royal Rumble, as does Bianca. And they have a Really weird Chuckle Brothers moment. Again, sorry everyone anywhere else other than the UK. But you guys know what I mean. To me, to you, to me, to you. If I don't win, you can win. If you don't win, I can win. Blah, 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 blah. Bit dull. And then we get another surprise. We get Liv with Raquel. And she's basically saying that she doesn't care about any of the women in the ring. And the headlines will all be about her as she declares for the Royal Rumble. And that she's going to win the Royal Rumble because she has Raquel Rodriguez as her insurance policy, basically. As she's chopping off in the ring, Rhea gives her an almighty headbutt, and it all kicks off, and everyone basically starts fighting with each other. Nick Aldis comes out, and we just see Tiffy slip out the back, clearly wanting none of it, fair enough too. So it seems that Nick has made a match, and we have a 6-woman tag. So we have Bianca, Naomi and Rhea versus Nia, Candice and Liv. So a really good traditional faces versus heels match here. We start off with Rhea and Candice. Rhea with the upper hand first off, as she obviously outpowers Candice. And a blind tag for Bianca as her and Naomi take out Nia. And then the 3 faces pull off a move which involves chucking Naomi basically through the air to take out Nia, which looked pretty cool. Liv gets double teamed by Naomi and Bianca, who go for the cover, but Liv kicks. And then we have Bianca in the corner pounding on Liv, but Candice with the distraction, which puts things back in the hands of the heels. Nia now in with Bianca and a huge clothesline, and here we go. Glacier paced Nia, yawn. Slam, annihilator, slam. Thankfully, Bianca rises up and fights back on Nia. And she gets a tag to Candice, and Naomi is in too. She hits the rear view on Candice, tags the walking Glacier in again. Naomi is now making a great account of herself, but is sat on by Nia in some kind of adapted annihilator. And we have a tag to Candice, who has Naomi pinned in the wrong corner. And again, as Naomi's absolutely desperate for a tag, she gets free and goes for a tag, but is stopped and dragged back again to the wrong corner. She's now in with Liv, who goes for the 3 Amigos, which gets proper booed. Nia back in with the big attack on Naomi, who goes for the roll-up, but Nia easily kicks out. Crowd are chanting, "We want Mammy." Nia takes out Rhea on the outside, and Liv takes out Bianca, leaving Naomi all alone, but she manages to rally and takes out all of the heels. And Rhea somehow gets back onto the apron, gets the tag, and she's in with Liv. Absolutely decimates her. And Raquel with the distraction, while Liv hits the backbreaker on Rhea. And Bianca gets the tag and is in with Liv. Rhea hits Riptide on Liv, and actually sort of lands her on top of Nia, who is down in the ring. And Bianca hits the Kiss of Death on Candice. And it looks like they have the win. But at that moment, in sneaks Liv and rolls up Bianca for a win for the heels. But this was a really fun match, and great to have Liv and Rhea and Raquel on SmackDown. And finally, some of the female superstars declare for the Rumble, which is fab. And obviously, earlier on, we also got Charlotte Flair, which is double fab. I am so sick of Nia, though, guys. Is it me? I'm just so sick of her. Her matches, her moves, her promos is also boring. So sick of her. And then with Charlotte coming back, I wonder how she's going to fit in. Who will win the Rumble? Does Becky have a part to play? I hope so. I'm a massive Becky fan. And there is news that she has now signed a new contract. So, I mean, it looks like female wrestling is certainly looking super strong at the moment. We go backstage again, and Piper is fussing over Chelsea as she asks, "Where were you?" And she says, "How does this happen?" B-Fab and Meechin appear, and B-Fab says, "Well, the math is finally mathing, and you don't have the numbers game anymore." Turns out that Nick Aldis has given Meechin a final title shot. next week. That's good. I would love for Meechin to win it from Chelsea, but also I don't really want Chelsea's reign to end, so I'm definitely getting splinters in my butt on the fence with that one. Next in the ring, we have Johnny Gargano versus Apollo Crews. We get a recap from last week with Apollo dropping his helpful truth bombs on Pretty Deadly. And as we kick off this match, I can't actually remember the last time I've seen Apollo Crews in a singles match of any substance. He spent a lot of time hanging out with Baron Corbin before he got released. And Wade reminds us that Crews' record of late has been pretty terrible. But he has started off this match well, looking for a frog splash, but is met with a kick from Johnny. Apollo with a fight back as he hits a slingshot on Johnny and an impressive press, followed by a moonsault into the cover. A very impressive run of moves there, but Johnny fights back with a backcracker, and they trade blows in the centre of the ring. Crews chucked out of the ring, he gets poleaxed by Ciampa with the running knee behind the ref's back. As Motor City Machine Guns make their way to the ring, and from nowhere, off the distraction, Crews with the roll up and the quick win. So although we got a lot of matches on tonight's card, more than one or two of them were very quick. But I thought Crews was great. Why haven't they done more with him? Maybe this is a fresh start that he needs. I hope so. I would like to see him getting used more. He's got some great moves. He's very talented. I guess he just needs some development on his character. So let's hope this has been what they hoped and he gets a bit more out of it. And now we are straight into a walk-in shouty promo from Fatu, who tells Braun Strowman that it isn't Godzilla versus King Kong because he, as in Fatu, is both. I didn't really catch the rest of it, to be fair, because he's very shouty and he talks a bit too quick. But I'm sure it was something raw and cross. Now we have the match, which is Tama Tonga versus LA Knight. Where's Solo? Is that it for him? Is he going to make an unexpected return somewhere? Are we just going to get him in the Rumble? Don't know. The roof comes off when LA Knight's music hits. He is ridiculously over. He grabs the mic before the match and says that the megastar is in the building. And the two cross-eyed half-wits in front of him are going to get it. He says tonight he is going to get a big piece of Tonga. And then we kick off with a slugfest in the centre of the ring. Tonga misses some clotheslines, and then Knight manages to hit a mid-air snap, and Tonga is out of the ring. Knight into the barrier, but he fights back, chucking Tonga over into the crowd, and Tonga walks the barricade like a tightrope and hits a lariat. Wade and Joe reminding us that Solo has brought these nutters in, and now no one seems to be in charge. They're really selling the danger element. Meanwhile, Knight is in control and again chucks Tonga out of the ring, but Knight is slammed into the corner of the steps and basically is just getting beat up outside the ring. We get back into the ring and Tonga is kicking Knight in the corner, but Knight manages to power out with a running clothesline. Tonga kicks him in the head, he's back in charge. We now have Knight getting in some good offence, but Tonga again overcomes and continues to beat down on LA Knight with a headbutt, but this is reversed by Knight, who manages to get a 2 count on Tonga. Knight starts to come back again with a flying clothesline and a reverse neck breaker as Knight flies out of the ring, taking out Tonga. Knight goes for a suplex, but Tonga slips out and hits an amazing jumping DDT. Knight kicks in too. Knight from the top reverses a suplex and hits a leaping elbow. Fatu with the distraction, but Tonga almost gets a sneaky roll up, but Knight manages to hit the BFT and gets the win. But no surprises. We have afters, and Fatu goes nuts, throwing Knight through the comm desk, and basically wrecking Knight. But right on cue, out comes Strowman to make the save. He gets in the ring and Fatu joins him as they face off. Strowman outsmarts Fatu and Tonga and manages to avoid a snidey attack. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Fatu wins tomorrow night, but maybe not. Maybe Solo puts in an appearance and there is some shenanigans, or does Solo accidentally cause Fatu a loss, setting up for Solo versus Fatu at Mania, or is it too soon for that? I don't know. It's certainly quite interesting. So after that, we go backstage and we have Miz desperately trying to make some friends. He's trying to make friends with A-Town Down. Just as Miz woos them, Nick comes and tells them that they have been drafted to Raw, which is good because I wasn't really a massive fan of A-Town Down. So it's good to see them going over to Raw where I don't have to pay quite as much attention to them. We now have Priest versus Mello, and I'm really excited for this one. So great to see Damien Priest on SmackDown, and really hoping that he hands Mello his ass tonight. I guess really we should appreciate that Mello somehow manages to maintain such high opinion of himself despite pretty much constantly losing. I suppose if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to? We start off and the difference in size is quite something. Mello looks like a child in comparison to Priest, who gets in a couple of really powerful moves and has Mello in the corner and walks the top ropes, goes into a crossbody and a cover. Mello manages to tie Priest up and get a couple of good kicks in, starts to work over his legs, but as always he spends a lot of time showboating when he could be capitalising on the moves that he makes. Mello continues to kick Priest in the corner, but Priest hits back with a massive punch. And then Mello again takes out Priest's legs with a really powerful sliding kick. Mello off the springboard into a cover, but Priest kicks out. Mello continues working on the legs and the arms of Priest. I felt like the crowd was super flat and they didn't seem to be into this at all. And I wasn't sure whether it's because actually Mello had the upper hand in a lot of the early goings in this match, and I just don't think they like him very much. Meanwhile, Mello retains the upper hand as he goes up top, hitting a crossbody. Priest has to kick it too, but Priest does finally get back into it, levelling Mello with a huge uppercut and hits a broken arrow. Mello tries to leg it, saying he's had enough, but Priest is having none of it as he leaves the ring and totals Mello into the timekeeper's area. Priest catches Mello, who counters with the first 48 and gets a 2 count. Priest with a massive clothesline, and he has Mello up for South of Heaven, hitting him through the ring and gets the win. And yay, thank goodness. Really pleased to have Priest on SmackDown and get him some distance for the Judgment Day. I'm glad all that's a distant memory now, it seems. Looking forward to seeing what he has on offer. And again, Mello picks up another spectacular defeat. Backstage, Motor City Machine Guns have a match at the Rumble for the titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which is cool. And now to our main event, which is going to be KO versus Jimmy Uso. But before we get that, we get Cody and Priest meeting up backstage. Cody shakes his hand and Priest says, "See you soon, champ." So that's a cool angle. I'm looking forward to seeing that if that works out. And then we get Miz still trying to make friends backstage because he's clearly terrified of the Wyatt Six, who we haven't seen on SmackDown yet, I don't think, unless we have and I've forgotten, which is possible. But so Miz still trying to make friends. He's now on to Andrade. And Jimmy comes out, but is attacked from behind by Mello on his way to the ring. Doesn't seem to do too much damage to Jimmy, and he doesn't seem that bothered by it. And the officials and referees separate them, and we just get on with it. KO comes out now wearing a Glow t-shirt, presumably to wind Jimmy up, as Naomi is his wife in real life. And again, at the beginning of the match, he hands over his stolen Winged Eagle belt. I mean, I won't repeat myself, but you've all heard what I said last week. Why the freak is he handing it over, and why aren't the officials just saying, I'm not going to give it back to you, it's not yours. And while he's in the match, just whisking it away to a locked office or wherever it came from. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to repeat myself, and there you go, I did. So as we kick off the main event, KO comes out of the ring and starts chopsing off to Joe about the interview that he didn't have earlier. Jimmy comes out to get him. We go back into the ring. KO hits a senton onto the back of Jimmy. KO with the early momentum shoulder charging Jimmy in the corner and a headlock kind of around the middle rope. Jimmy springs out of the corner and hits a clothesline, lines up for the hip attack, but KO rolls out of the ring and then charges Jimmy off the apron into the desk and follows up with a frog splash onto Jimmy onto the floor outside the ring, which looked pretty gnarly. Back in the ring, and we've got KO targeting the shoulders of Jimmy, stomping Jimmy down and hitting a DDT. To be fair, at this point, Jimmy looks totally out of it, but he starts to rally, managing to land a few punches on KO, but KO just returns to working on the arms of Jimmy. KO goes up to the top rope, but is met by Jimmy, who kicks KO in the face and tries to set up KO for a suplex, but is knocked down. KO's swanton is foiled by Jimmy getting his knees up and hits the hip attack in the corner. Jimmy hits the Samoan drop and gets the 2 count. A super kick from Jimmy almost gets in the win, but KO kicks. They trade super kicks, which was pretty cool little sequence of moves, and Jimmy gets another near fall. Jimmy goes up top and tries the Uso splash, but it misses, and then KO similarly misses the pop-up powerbomb. Jimmy with the spear and again goes up for the Uso splash, but KO whips him down and gets the pop-up powerbomb this time and gets the win. So it was a good match that I wasn't expecting, and we get some afters as always as KO goes to put the pile driver on Jimmy onto the desk, but as he does, Cody's music hits and he comes out to ruin KO's night again. So once again, we finish up the show with Cody and KO brawling, which is fine. I'm glad we're almost at the Rumble. I'm not sure there's much more life to be squeezed out of this one. But let's see what tomorrow night's show brings. Always good to see HBK back in the fold and to see what this addendum is. So another good show tonight. I think we got 7 matches in total, which is like PLE numbers. I won't lie, I've watched it live tonight, so I did feel the third hour. But I did hear somewhere that it's going back to 2 hours in June, so I feel like that's a bit of a relief, because actually 3 hours is quite a lot of time to watch something really closely. I think it's really exciting to have Damien Priest on the show. I'm wondering who we'll get in exchange for Bayley from the phenomenal Raw roster. So all in all, again, double thumbs up for SmackDown on Netflix. And despite the weird sort of little videos of the superstars instead of the commercials being slightly annoying, it's cool to have a timer on the side, so you know exactly how long you've got to get up and get yourself a drink or whatever you want to do, and there's no commercials to have to fast forward through. So so far, still loving the Netflix era. So guys, that just about does it for this week. As always, thank you for having me in your ears, and until next time, remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.